Hello everyone, back to today's second video. So we're going to have a look at the weather next week to 10 days for today's second video, extending out beyond the 5-day forecast period. We did the 5-day forecast earlier. You can find the video tag here on the homepage. Just scroll down the page a little bit. It's above the pollen count. There's also a written version. You can get to that from the buttons at the top of the page. Going to be an unsettled 5 days coming up, potentially turning stormy on Sunday and Monday. So as I say, this second video is extending out beyond the 5-day forecast period, and we're going to go to next week 10 days. We'll also have a look at Beijing Climate Center next 40 days. That takes us, can you believe, just about into the start of November. So that's going to be quite interesting to see what that's showing. It's going to be a little bit truncated. I did be recording for the second video earlier on today, and we had a power cut while it was processing, so I lost it. Now I'm running very, very late, 4 o'clock, when I'm doing this second video, so I'm going to try and rattle through everything as quickly as I can. We don't have any local ensembles data for you today. We're going to look at the old ensemble chart for London, but we'll begin by having a look at what's happening in the Atlantic. We've got 2 hurricanes still on the go. We've got Lee just here. That's a major hurricane now. It's up to category 3 status. And Maria over here, which is a category 1. A short while ago, that was a tropical storm, but it's gone back up to a category 1 hurricane now. So got both of those storms in the Atlantic at the moment, and they are going to be pushing our way through the end of the week and into the weekend, potentially merging into an area of low pressure that could give us quite a blow on Sunday and Monday. Check out the 5-day forecast, see more about that. So these are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles for London. This is the old chart. I'm afraid I haven't got time to look at your local ensembles data today. We will be doing that tomorrow. So the red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average. I've got signs of a bit of a zonal sine wave, actually, for the next few days. So we're in a warmer sector now, still quite humid. Turns cooler there, then warmer, then cooler again, and then warmer. And then it looks like we're going to more of a protracted sort of cooler spell, losing the sine wave, going a little bit cooler than average. At the same time as we're doing that, we might be building in an area of high pressure, so we may have to start thinking about some fairly chilly nights coming up later on next week. In terms of rainfall, so we've got quite a bit of wet weather going across the country tonight, more rain on Friday, and then these spikes just here for Sunday, Monday, associated with the remains of Hurricanes Lee and Maria. Once that gets out of the way, you notice it is drying there. I've got a drier trend for the second half of next week. May well build in some high pressure, but remember that could be associated with some fairly cool conditions as well. Temperature anomalies for next week, 27th of September to 5th of October, are coming out warmer than average, not just for the UK, but for many parts of Europe. Precipitation anomalies for the next week, 27th of September, 5th of October, close to average, possibly for the north, a little bit wetter than average there. So this is how the GFS is looking for Sunday. Remember, this is covered by the 5-day forecast period, but we'll start on Sunday with GFS low pressure out in the Atlantic, turning into quite a major, vigorous area of low pressure on this particular run of the GFS for Monday. That's bringing gales or severe gales, excuse me, and possibly some quite wet weather at times as well. Into Tuesday next week, that low pressure is slinking down the North Sea, bringing a strong and very chilly northerly wind as it does so. And then in second half next week, middle of second half next week, high pressure starts to ridge back in from off the Atlantic. Now, this is within quite cool air, so there could be some cold nights associated with this. Possibly some ground frost, particularly for the north, and maybe some mist and fog patches as well. Notice that high pressure ridging up towards Scandinavia once again. That ridge doesn't last all that long, though. By the time you get through to day 10, we're actually going back into low pressure again from the north and west. So the idea for a GFS is a stormy start to next week, then drier and quite cool from the middle part of next week, maybe with ground frost and mist and fog by night, and then possibly back to unsettled conditions again by the time you get through to the end of next week and the weekend of the 7th, 8th of October. This is how the ECWF is looking. So over low pressure is in the Atlantic for Sunday, pushing across the country on Monday. This isn't as stormy as the GFS is showing. This is still bringing quite a bit of wet and windy weather, but it's not as stormy as what that GFS run was doing. By the time you go through to Tuesday next week, that low pressure is moving into parts of southern Norway, turning in the winds into the northwest. They are quite strong winds, don't get me wrong, certainly pretty breezy there, but not as bad as what the GFS is showing. So there's still uncertainty about exactly how this storm system is going to behave. But by the middle of next week, same idea. That low pressure is heading off in towards Denmark, and then we build this ridge up from the southwest, probably with quite cool air associated with it, so there could be some cold nights, maybe some mist and fog as well. And then, unlike what the GFS does, the ECM just keeps this high pressure sticking around into the second half of next week, and even up to day 10, which is Saturday the 7th of October, we're still under that ridge of high pressure, so still mostly dry and settled through to day 10, whereas by this point the GFS is turning things more south, so we've got a discrepancy there. So potentially quite stormy early next week, then drier and cooler through the middle of next week, and then day 10 or up to day 10, it's up the grabs. It might stay settled, turn a bit milder and start to drag the wind up from the southwest, or it might actually turn more unsettled once again. That's still to be determined. Finally, just have a look at the Beijing Climate Center for the next 40 days. So these are the 500 millimeter heights broken down into 10-day periods. The first 10-day period will take us from the 26th of September through to 5th of October. Below average heights in the Atlantic, above average heights to our east, doing something a bit like that with the flow and with the jet stream. So starting off with quite a bit of high pressure dominating, but becoming more unsettled, particularly into the end of this coming weekend and the start of next week, of course. Then go through to the next 10-day period, and this is quite an interesting one. This is the 6th through to the 15th of October, where we've got above average heights out to our north and northwest, with below average heights to our south. And if we start just here, what that's going to do, if it comes off, turn the wind like that and the flow. So that's putting down quite cool air from the northeast, potentially. That could be a cooler period there, the 6th through to the 15th of October. Next 10-day period takes us from the 16th through to the 25th of October, with above average heights now going up towards Greenland, below average heights to our south. That looks like it's a negative NAO that's going on there. And again, we're probably doing something like that with the flow with the jet stream. And now into the second half of October, still with the air generally pulling down from the northerly direction, whether that's northeasterly or northwesterly or due northerly, doesn't really matter. Well, the flow generally is from the north. So we're into the second half of October. That could be quite cold, maybe even with night frost. You'll have to think about night frost coming through with that. Then we go through to the final 10-day period, which is the 26th of October to the 4th of November. Very, very long way out. But then we have another change. Heights are rising to our south and to our east, and that's probably doing something a bit like that, with the flow turning the wind into the south and bringing much milder air back up from the south and the southwest, potentially for the end of October and running up towards bonfire night. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, but if the Beijing Climate Center is right there, it looks like, because we have had a cooler autumn so far, I don't know if anybody's noticed this, but September so far has been quite cool, really, despite the fact that the last couple of days have been warmer. Overall, September has been fairly cool and also really quite wet. So having more of an autumnal autumn, if you like, so far, compared to the last year or so, perhaps. And looks like if the Beijing Climate Center is right, this is likely to continue into October with some fairly cool conditions potentially in there, possibly even frost coming through as we get later on into October with that kind of setup that it's going, albeit it does turn warmer right at the very end into November, but that's too far away to take seriously. In the more immediate time frame, of course, we're going to be looking at the stormy conditions potentially on Sunday and Monday. Then after that, high pressure builds in, probably quite a cool ridge, so maybe ground frost and mist and fog, possibly back to unsettled conditions again by day 10. Sorry I've had to run through so quickly, but as I'm running very, very late due to that power cut that was beyond my control, so sorry about that. We'll have a proper extended video with local ensembles data for you tomorrow. That's all now, thanks for watching.